The elders spoke. They didn't listen. Humanity's revenge was absolute. The Council of 12 sat in their ancient chambers, their crystalline forms pulsing with the soft blue light of millennia-old wisdom. These were the Vorthek, the self-proclaimed guardians of galactic civilization, beings who had witnessed the rise and fall of 1,000 species across the spiral arms of the galaxy. Their homeworld of Nexus Prime served as the unofficial capital of known space, where trade routes converged and diplomatic accords were signed. Elder Zephyros, oldest among them, raised his translucent hand to silence the murmuring that had filled the chamber. His voice, when it came, carried the weight of 10,000 years of experience, resonating through the crystalline walls with harmonics that lesser species could barely comprehend. "We gather today to discuss the humans," he began, his words causing an immediate stir among the assembled elders. "This young species from the third planet of the Sol system has been requesting admission to our Galactic Confederation for the past 50 of their years." Elder Mystara, her form shimmering with indignation, spoke next. "They are children, Zephyros, barely crawled from their planetary cradle, and already they demand to sit among civilizations that predate their entire evolutionary history. Their technology is crude, their social structures primitive. They still engage in warfare among themselves. The humans had indeed been persistent. Their first contact with the Vorthak had occurred when a human exploration vessel, the UES Endeavour, had stumbled upon a Vorthak monitoring station at the edge of their solar system. Captain Sarah Chun, the ship's commander, had attempted to establish diplomatic contact, speaking of peace, trade, and mutual understanding. The Vorthak had been amused by these earnest attempts, treating the humans much as adults might treat children playing at being grown-ups. Their representative, Ambassador Martinez, waits outside even now, Elder Theron noted, his tone carrying barely concealed disdain. He has come with their latest proposal, claiming their species has much to offer the galaxy. Elder Korath's laugh was like crystal chimes in a harsh wind. What could they possibly offer? They have not even achieved true faster-than-light travel. Their ships crawl through space using crude fusion drives and primitive jump gates. Their longest journey took them barely 20 light-years from their homeworld. The truth was that humanity had developed a unique form of EFTAL travel, something they called the fold drive, which allowed them to bend space-time in ways that even the Vorthak found intriguing. However, the elder races had dismissed this as a lucky accident, a fluke discovery that didn't represent true technological advancement. They speak of their resilience and adaptability. Elder Mystara continued, her form flickering with amusement. As if every species doesn't believe themselves to be special. We have seen countless young races make similar claims. The Caraxians thought their warrior culture made them unique. The Zentrans believed their hive mind gave them advantages. Where are they now? Extinct, every one of them, because they could not accept their limitations. Elder Zephyros nodded sagely. The patterns are always the same. A young species achieves basic space flight, discovers they are not alone in the universe, and immediately assumes they are destined for greatness. They do not understand that the galaxy is a vast and dangerous place, filled with forces beyond their comprehension. The chamber fell silent as Ambassador Martinez was escorted in. The human was a distinguished man in his 60s, his hair silver but his eyes still bright with determination. He had been Earth's primary representative to the Galactic Confederation for over a decade, learning their languages, studying their customs, and tirelessly advocating for his species' inclusion in galactic society. He bowed respectfully before the council, a gesture that the Vorthak found quaint and somewhat endearing, like a pet performing a trick. "Honored elders, I come before you once again to request that humanity be granted membership in the Galactic Confederation." Elder Zephyros regarded the human with the same detached interest one might show a particularly clever animal. "Ambassador Martinez, we have considered your previous requests with great care. We have observed your species for half a century now, and while we acknowledge certain interesting qualities, we must conclude that humanity is not yet ready for the responsibilities that come with galactic citizenship. Martinez had expected this response, but the dismissal still stung. With respect, honored elders, I believe you underestimate us. Humanity has shown remarkable progress in just 50 years of contact with galactic civilization. We've established peaceful colonies on 17 worlds, developed new technologies, and proven our ability to cooperate with other species. Child's play, Elder Korath interjected. You have settled a handful of uninhabited rocks and call this expansion. You have traded with minor species at the galactic rim and call this diplomacy. You have made minor improvements to technology we gave you and call this innovation. The human's jaw tightened, but he maintained his composure. Then what would it take for you to consider us ready? What criteria must we meet? Elder Mystara's crystalline form pulsed with what might have been sympathy. You ask for criteria, but you do not understand the fundamental issue. It is not about meeting benchmarks or passing tests. It is about recognizing your place in the cosmic order. The galaxy has existed for billions of years before your species learned to make fire, Elder Theron added. Civilizations have risen and fallen while your homeworld was still a ball of molten rock. We have guided the development of galactic society for longer than your species has existed. This is not about exclusion, but about wisdom. Ambassador Martinez felt a familiar frustration building in his chest. He had heard variations of this speech dozens of times over the years. The Vorthic always spoke of wisdom and cosmic order, but to human ears it sounded suspiciously like prejudice dressed in philosophical language. We understand that we are young, Martinez said carefully. But our youth brings fresh perspectives, new ideas. Throughout galactic history, haven't young species contributed innovations that benefited everyone? Elder Zephyros's expression, insofar as his crystalline features could convey expression, grew stern. Young species contribute chaos, Ambassador. They upset carefully maintained balances, start conflicts they cannot finish, and create problems they do not have the wisdom to solve. Better for them to learn patience, to grow slowly under proper guidance. How long? Martinez asked. How long must we wait? Perhaps in another 1,000 years, when your species has matured, when you have learned to see beyond your immediate wants and desires, we might reconsider. But for now, you must accept that some doors are not yet open to you. The dismissal was clear, but Martinez made one final attempt. The galaxy is vast, honored elders. Surely there is room for young species to contribute, to learn through participation rather than observation? Elder Mystara's response was gentle but final. The galaxy is indeed vast, Ambassador, but it is also dangerous. There are forces out there that would consume your species without a second thought. Ancient machines that still patrol dead systems, energy beings that feed on consciousness itself, dark matter entities that exist in spaces between spaces. We protect the younger races from these threats, not out of condescension, but out of necessity. We appreciate your protection, Martinez replied, though his tone suggested otherwise. But we also value our freedom to choose our own path. Elder Korath's laugh was sharp. Freedom? You speak of freedom as if it were an absolute good. Freedom without wisdom is merely license for self-destruction. How many of your kind died in your world wars? How many perished in your nuclear tests? How many more would die if you encountered even a fraction of the galaxy's true dangers? The human ambassador stood straighter, drawing on reserves of dignity he had cultivated over years of similar encounters. Honored elders, I thank you for your time and consideration. I hope that someday you will see that humanity has more to offer than you currently believe. As Martinez was escorted from the chamber, Elder Zephyros turned to his colleagues. The patterns remain consistent. They speak of contribution and cooperation, but what they truly want is validation. They want us to tell them they are special, that their brief existence has cosmic significance. It is almost pitiable, Elder Theron mused. They burn so brightly, these short-lived species, desperate to leave a mark before their inevitable fade into obscurity. But Elder Mystara seemed troubled. There was something different about this one, about the human's final words. A note I have not heard before. Wishful thinking, Elder Korath dismissed. They all sound defiant when faced with rejection. It means nothing. Unknown to the council, their conversation was being monitored. Hidden in the walls of the ancient chamber were microscopic devices, so small and so advanced that even Vorthak sensors couldn't detect them. These were humanity's latest achievement, quantum surveillance mites that existed in a state of technological uncertainty until the moment they transmitted their data. The information flowed through subspace channels to a heavily shielded facility buried deep beneath the lunar surface, where it was analyzed by some of the brightest minds humanity had ever produced. Dr. Elena Vasquez, head of the project, watched the data anger. The elder spoke. They didn't listen. Humanity's revenge was absolute. 6 months had passed since humanity's formal withdrawal from consideration for Galactic Confederation membership, and the elder races had largely forgotten about the incident. The Vorthak continued their ancient routines of governance and guidance, secure in their belief that the natural order remained intact. Elder Zephyros was reviewing trade dispute reports from the rim sectors when his aide, a younger Vorthak named Stellaris, burst into his meditation chamber. Such breach of protocol was unprecedented, and the elder's crystalline form flickered with annoyance. Stellaris, you forget yourself. What crisis could possibly justify this interruption? Honored elder, our monitoring stations throughout the galaxy have gone dark. 17 deep space installations have lost contact within the past hour. The pattern suggests a coordinated strike, but our sensors detect no hostile fleets, no weapon signatures, nothing that would indicate an attack. Elder Zephyros rose from his contemplative position, his ancient mind immediately calculating possibilities. Pirates? The Coraxian remnants? Some new threat from the dark sectors? That's just it, Honored One. There's no trace of conventional warfare. The stations simply stopped transmitting. But before they went dark, several reported detecting strange energy fluctuations consistent with spatial fold technology. The elder's crystalline form pulsed with sudden understanding. The humans. But that's impossible. Their fold drives are primitive, barely capable of moving their crude vessels at faster than light speeds. They lack the sophistication for coordinated military operations across such distances. Perhaps we should contact the Council? Stellaris suggested, before Elder Zephyros could respond, his personal communication array activated. Elder Mystara's image appeared, her usually composed demeanor showing signs of strain. Zephyros, are you receiving reports of system failures? Monitoring stations, yes? 17 confirmed dark. It's worse than that. The number has grown to 37 in the past 10 minutes. And Zephyros, the pattern isn't random. These stations form a perfect perimeter around human-controlled space. The implications struck the ancient being like a physical blow. Summon the full council immediately, and contact our military commanders. I fear we may have underestimated the depth of human resentment. Within the hour, the Council of 12 had assembled an emergency session. The chamber that normally resonated with calm deliberation now hummed with tension as reports continued to pour in from across the galaxy. Elder Korath's form flickered with agitation. 49 stations now, all in a clear defensive perimeter. But what troubles me more are the reports from our naval patrols. Several squadrons have encountered what appear to be human vessels, but not like anything in our intelligence files. Admiral Thane, the Vorthak's supreme military commander, materialized in the center of the chamber via holographic projection. His normally pristine uniform showed signs of the hasty departure from his command ship. Honored elders, I must report that we are facing something unprecedented. Our patrol fleet in the Centauri sector encountered 3 human vessels 8 hours ago. They appeared to be conducting some form of sensor sweep. What happened? Elder Mystara demanded. Captain Nexus attempted standard interdiction procedures, broadcasting warnings about unauthorized activities in Confederation space. The human vessels ignored all communications. When our ships moved to escort them to the nearest station for questioning, the humans simply dotted. Elder Zephyros felt something he had not experienced in millennia, uncertainty. Vanished how? Jump to hyperspace? No, Honored One. Our sensors would have detected hyperspace entry. These ships folded space around themselves and disappeared without leaving any trace. But more troubling, they reappeared simultaneously in 7 different locations across the sector, as if each ship had somehow become multiple vessels. The chamber fell silent except for the harmonic resonance of crystalline forms processing this impossible information. The technology being described violated several fundamental principles of physics as the Vorthak understood them. Elder Theron spoke first. Admiral, what is the current disposition of our fleets? That's the problem, Honored One. Over the past 6 months, while we dismissed human activities as irrelevant, they've been mapping our patrol routes, our bases, our communication networks. Every piece of intelligence they gathered during their diplomatic missions, every tour we gave them, every courtesy we extended, they've weaponized all of it. Dr. Elena Vasquez stood in the command center of Prometheus Station, watching as her life's work finally came to fruition. The massive installation hung in the asteroid belt like a technological cathedral, its flowing lines and impossible geometries defying conventional understanding of space-time physics. Status report, she called to her. Team, all quantum fold generators online, reported. Dr. Wright, the spatial distortion field is stable across 17 light-years of space. We have complete sensor coverage of Vorthak activities within the perimeter. Excellent. And our mirror ships? Quantum duplication protocols are functioning perfectly. Each of our scout vessels can manifest in up to 12 locations simultaneously while maintaining full tactical capability. Dr. Vasquez smiled grimly. While the Vorthak had been lecturing humanity about patience and cosmic order, human scientists had been solving problems the elder races believed were unsolvable. The quantum fold technology that the aliens had dismissed as a lucky accident was actually based on a completely different understanding of space-time dynamics, where other species saw space as something to travel through. Humans had learned to treat it as something to manipulate. The fold drives didn't just move ships faster than light. They created localized distortions in reality itself. And when those distortions were amplified through the massive generators of Prometheus Station, the results were beyond anything the galaxy had seen before. Ma'am, called Lieutenant Sarah Park from the communications station, we're receiving transmissions from Earth. President Harrison wants to speak with you. The president's image appeared on the main screen, her expression showing the weight of the decision they were about to make. Dr. Vasquez, are we ready to proceed to Phase 3? All systems are operational, Madam President. Once we activate the full array, there will be no turning back. The Vorthak will know exactly what we're capable of, and they'll respond accordingly. They've had 50 years to treat us as equals, President Harrison replied. Instead, they chose to treat us as children. It's time they learn that some children bite back. Initiate Phase 3. Dr. Vasquez turned to her team. You heard the President. All stations, prepare for full activation. This is what we've been building toward. The energy levels throughout Prometheus Station began climbing toward levels that should have been impossible to contain. The quantum fold generators, each one larger than a city block, started synchronizing their outputs. Space itself began to bend and twist around the installation as humanity, prepared to demonstrate the true extent of their capabilities. Back on Nexus Prime, the Council of 12 was receiving reports that defied explanation. Vorthak monitoring stations throughout their space were detecting massive energy buildups, but the sources appeared to be everywhere and nowhere simultaneously. It's as if they've turned space itself into a weapon, Admiral Thane reported, his voice tight with confusion. Our ships are reporting gravitational anomalies, temporal fluctuations, and quantum disturbances unlike anything in our databases. Elder Korath's form was flickering rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. This is impossible. No species develops such technology in mere decades. It takes millennia to understand the fundamental forces of the universe well enough to manipulate them directly. Unless, Elder Mistara said quietly, We were wrong about their capabilities from the beginning. The admission hung in the chamber like a discordant note in their harmonic communication. For beings who had guided galactic civilization for millions of years, the possibility of fundamental error was almost incomprehensible, Elder Zephyros made, a decision that went against everything he believed about proper cosmic order. Open a channel to Earth, we need to speak with their leadership. Honored Elder, Stellaris protested. Contacting them directly would legitimize their behavior. Make it appear as if we're treating them as equals. Look around, Stellaris. Look at what they've accomplished while we were dismissing them. Perhaps it's time we reconsidered what equality actually means. The communication took nearly an hour to establish, not because of technical difficulties, but because humanity seemed to be in no hurry to respond. When President Harrison finally appeared on their screens, her demeanor was completely different from the humble supplicant they remembered. Elder Zephyros, she said with cool politeness, how unexpected to hear from you. I trust your ancient wisdom is serving you well in these interesting times. The elder felt something he had never experienced before in diplomatic encounters. He was being mocked, subtly but unmistakably. President Harrison, we need to discuss the recent activities of your fleets. Your vessels are operating in violation of several Confederation agreements. I'm afraid you're mistaken, Elder. Humanity is no longer seeking membership in your Confederation, remember? W. The Elder spoke. They didn't listen. Humanity's revenge was absolute. 1 year had passed since humanity's dramatic announcement, and the galaxy was transforming in ways the Vorthek could never have predicted. The Council of 12 convened an emergency session for what felt like the 100th time, but the ancient chamber that had once been a place of serene deliberation now resembled a war room filled with desperate commanders. Elder Zephyros materialized in his designated position, his crystalline form noticeably dimmer than it had been a year ago. The stress of watching their cosmic order collapse had taken its toll on all the elders, but none more so than their leader. Report, he commanded wearily. Admiral Thane's holographic projection flickered into existence, his expression grim. The situation continues to deteriorate, honored elders. 17 more systems have formally withdrawn from the Confederation this month, bringing the total to 86. These aren't random departures. Each one has been preceded by contact with representatives from the Independent Systems Coalition. Elder Mystara's form pulsed with barely contained fury. How is this possible? These species have been loyal members for millennia. What could the humans possibly offer them that we haven't already provided? Respect, came a new voice from the chamber entrance. Ambassador Martinez entered, but he was no longer the humble supplicant who had once begged for their approval. His bearing was confident, almost regal, befitting humanity's new status as a galactic power. Elder Korath's crystalline structure flared with indignation. How dare you enter our sacred chambers uninvited, guards? Your guards let me pass, Martinez said calmly, settling into a chair that materialized from the chamber's smart matter systems. We have a mutual protection agreement with the Nexari, your security force, remember? They joined the coalition 3 months ago. The revelation struck the assembled elders like a physical blow. The Nexari had been responsible for Confederation security for over 1,000 years. Their defection represented not just a loss of military capability, but a complete breakdown of trust in Vorthek leadership. Impossible, Elder Theron whispered. The Nexari swore eternal loyalty to the Confederation. They did, Martinez agreed. But eternal is a relative concept when you've been treated as hired thugs rather than valued partners. Did you know that in 1,000 years of service, not a single Nexari has ever been offered a position on the Confederation Council? They've died protecting your interests, but never been allowed to influence policy. Elder Zephyros struggled to maintain his composure. Ambassador Martinez, why are you here? If it's to gloat over your victories, we have more pressing matters to attend to. Martinez's expression softened slightly. I'm here because President Harrison still believes in giving former adversaries a chance to surrender with dignity. She's authorized me to present you with an offer. Surrender? Elder Mystara's voice cracked like breaking crystal. The Vorthak do not surrender to anyone, especially not to a species that hasn't even existed for a cosmic heartbeat. Then perhaps you'd prefer the term negotiated transition, Martinez replied diplomatically. The reality is simple, honored elders. Your confederation is collapsing. In the past year, you've lost over a third of your member species, half of your military forces, and most of your economic base. The species that remain are only staying because they're afraid of change, not because they believe in your leadership. Admiral Thane's projection flickered as he received new intelligence. Ambassador, what did you do to the Krillian defense fleet? Our sensors detected massive energy expenditures in their home system, but no signs of battle damage. Martinez smiled. We gave them a demonstration of our defensive capabilities. It turns out that when you can manipulate space-time directly, traditional naval tactics become obsolete. The Krillians' vaunted battle fleet found themselves chasing phantom targets while their own ships were relocated to the edge of their system's heliopause. No shots were fired, no one was injured, but the message was clear. Dr. Elena Vasquez appeared on a holographic channel, broadcasting from the bridge of humanity's newest achievement. Behind her, through the viewports, the assembled elders could see something that challenged their understanding of what was possible in starship design. Elders, Dr. Vasquez said with a nod of acknowledgement, I'm transmitting from the UES Prometheus, humanity's first stellar-class vessel. Unlike your ships, which are built to travel between stars, this one carries stars with it. The revelation was staggering. The vessel visible behind Dr. Vasquez wasn't just a ship, it was a mobile stellar system, complete with artificial suns, planetary habitats, and what appeared to be manufacturing facilities, capable of producing fleets of smaller vessels. Elder Korath's form was flickering so rapidly it was painful to observe. That's impossible. No civilization has ever achieved that level of technological integration. No civilization has ever needed to, Dr. Vasquez corrected. You've all been content to fight over existing resources rather than learning to create new ones. When we realized the galaxy wasn't big enough for both our vision and yours, we decided to expand our definition of what the galaxy could be. President Harrison's image joined the conversation. Elders, I want you to understand something important. This isn't about revenge, despite what some of your people might think. This is about evolution. The universe is vast and full of possibilities, but you've been content to manage a small corner of it according to rules that made sense 10 million years ago. Our rules have maintained peace and stability for longer than your species has existed. Elder Zephyros protested. Your rules have maintained stagnation, President Harrison countered. How many species have you uplifted in the last million years? How many new technologies have emerged from your research programs? How many previously unknown sectors have you explored? The answer to all of these questions is effectively zero, because your entire philosophy is based on maintaining the status quo. Ambassador Martinez stood and activated a holographic display that showed the current state of the galaxy. Where once there had been a clear division between Confederation space and the unknown regions, now there were dozens of new territorial boundaries, representing the Independent Systems Coalition and its allies. The ISC has accomplished more in 1 year than the Confederation achieved in the last 1,000, he said. We've made contact with 43 previously unknown species, established peaceful relations with entities you classified as dangerous unknowns, and begun exploration of 3 entirely new galactic arms that your people never bothered to investigate. Elder Mistara's voice was barely a whisper. What do you want from us? President Harrison's expression softened. We want you to join us, not as rulers, not as guides, but as partners. The Vorthak have knowledge and experience that could benefit everyone, but only if you're willing to share it freely rather than hoarding it as a tool of control. Join ... You? Elder Theron seemed unable to comprehend the concept. You're asking the eldest civilization in the galaxy to become junior partners in an organization led by cosmic children. I'm asking you to become part of something larger than yourselves, President Harrison replied. The age of your civilization doesn't make you superior any more than our youth makes us inferior. What matters is what we can accomplish together. Dr. Vasquez added, "We've already begun integrating Vorthic's scientific principles with our own research. The results are remarkable. Your understanding of crystalline matrix technology combined with our space-time manipulation has led to breakthroughs neither of us could have achieved alone." Elder Zephyros fell silent, his ancient mind struggling to process the complete reversal of everything he had believed about cosmic order. Around him, his fellow elders were experiencing similar crises of understanding. "And if we refuse?" Elder Korath asked finally. "Then you continue as you are?" President Harrison said simply. "A rapidly shrinking alliance of species clinging to obsolete ideas while the rest of the galaxy moves forward. We won't force you to change, but we also won't allow you to prevent others from growing." Ambassador Martinez activated another display, this one showing trade routes and resource flows. "The economic reality is straightforward, elders. The IC now controls the majority of galactic commerce, including the manufacturing centers that produce the technologies your remaining members depend on. You can choose to trade with us as equals, or you can try to develop replacements for everything you're about to lose access to." The threat was subtle but unmistakable. Humanity and its allies had systematically undermined every foundation of Vorthak power. Not through conquest but through offering better alternatives to everyone who had been dissatisfied with the old order. Elder Zephyros looked around the chamber at his fellow council members, seeing his own uncertainty reflected in their crystalline forms. "How long do we have to decide?" "There's no deadline," President Harrison said. "But every day you wait, your position becomes weaker and our offer becomes less generous. Today, we're inviting you to join as founding members of an expanded coalition. A year from now, if you change your minds, you might be applying for membership like everyone else." After the humans ended their transmission, the Council of 12 sat in silence for the first time.